Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Board of Commissioners special meeting adopting FY 2026 tentative millage rate and budget ordinances agenda. Today is Wednesday, September 10th, 2025. It is 5:45 p.m. City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Brooks.
Here.
Vice Mayor Kerr.
Here.
Commissioner Taglerini.
Here.
Commissioner McGeehan.
Here.
Commissioner Gabayi.
Here.
All are present.
Public comment. Public participation is encouraged. If you are interested in addressing the commission, step to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and the organization or group you represent. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and do not include any topic on the agenda. Public comment on agenda items will be allowed when they come up. If you would like someone at the city to follow up on a comment or question made at the meeting, you may fill out a comment card with the contact information and give it to the city manager. Comment cards are available at the back table in the commission chambers. Completing a comment card is not mandatory. For any quasi-judicial public hearings that might be on the agenda, an affected person may become a party to a quasi-judicial proceeding and can be entitled to present evidence at the hearing, including the sworn testimony of witnesses and relevant exhibits and other documentary evidence, and to cross-examine all witnesses by filing a notice of intent to be a party with the Community Development Director not less than 5 days prior to the hearing. Do we have any public comment? With no public comment, we will move on to public hearings. Ordinance 2025-15, adopt tentative millage rate FY 2026, first reading and public hearing. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and read this ordinance in its entirety. This is Ordinance 2025-15, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, establishing the tentative millage rate for the fiscal year 2026, providing and announcing the name of the taxing authority, the rollback millage rate, the percentage decrease below the rollback millage rate, and the millage rate to be levied, and providing for an effective date. Whereas Florida Statute Section 200.065 requires the adoption of the millage rate by separate vote and prior to the adoption of the budget. And whereas Florida Statute Section 200.065 requires that prior to the adoption of the millage levy ordinance, the following be publicly announced: the name of the taxing authority, the rollback millage rate, the percentage decrease below the rollback millage rate, and the millage rate to be levied. And whereas in no event may the millage rate adopted exceed the millage rate tentatively adopted. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, that Section 1, the name of the taxing authority is the City of Madeira Beach. Section 2, the rollback rate for the fiscal year 2026 is 2.8581 per $1,000. Section 3, the fiscal year 2026 proposed millage rate is 3.78% lower than the rollback rate. Section 4, the millage rate to be levied for the fiscal year 2026 shall be 2.7500 per $1,000. And Section 5, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. That was the first reading of Ordinance 2025-15 in its entirety. And I don't know if Mr. Laughlin is going to be talking about this, but I'll pass on to him.
Sure, I can just provide a quick summary. So as we've discussed in previous workshops, the city's maintained the same millage rate, 2.75 mils, since approximately 2020. We've been proposed to maintain that for this fiscal year. The rollback rate typically is lower because of rising property values. However, this was an aberration year, as we've discussed and went over. So we're adopting the same millage rate, which will result in, had we adopted the rollback rate, will be resulting in $215,000 less in property taxes in fiscal year 26. But the idea, as we discussed, that's reduced structural values due to the hurricane damage that should, those values should increase over time as those properties are renovated and rebuilt. So hopefully this is a blip in the radar with regard to taxable values in the long term. But that's what was proposed in our previous workshops and what's presented here. I'll take any questions if you have them.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners, comments?
Feel like it's been discussed in the workshop? We've already tentatively agreed to this.
Yes.
Do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to maintain the millage rate to be levied for the fiscal year 2026 to be 2.75 per 1,000.
We need a motion to adopt the ordinance 2025-15.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the ordinance 2025-15.
Do we have a second? City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Vice Mayor Kerr,
Yes.
Commissioner McGeehan,
Yes.
Commissioner Taglerini,
Yes.
Commissioner Gabayé.
Yes.
Mayor Brooks.
Yes.
The motion carried 5-0.
Next on the agenda is ordinance 2025-16, adopt FY 2026 tentative budget, first reading and public hearing. City Attorney?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to read this in its entirety as well, except for the attachment. I'm not going to read that. It's too long. So this is ordinance 2025-16, an ordinance of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, adopting the tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, and providing for an effective date. Whereas Florida Statute Section 166.241 requires the adoption of a budget each fiscal year, and whereas the amount available from taxation and other sources, including balances brought forward from prior years, must equal the total appropriations for expenditures and reserves, and whereas at a minimum, the adopted budget must show for each fund, as required by law and sound financial practices, budgeted revenues and expenditures by organizational unit, which are at least at the level of detail required for the annual financial report required under Florida Statute 218.32, paren 1. And whereas the adopted budget must regulate expenditures of the municipality, and an officer of a municipal government may not expend or contract for expenditures in any fiscal year except as pursuant to the adopted budget. And whereas the City of Madeira Beach tentative fiscal year 2026 budget is balanced, is presented at the level of detail required to file the annual financial report, and shall regulate expenditures of the city for the period beginning October 1, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Commissioners of the City of Madeira Beach, Florida, that Section 1, the tentative budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2025 and ending September 30th, 2026, attached hereto as Exhibit A, is hereby adopted. In Section 2, this ordinance shall become effective immediately upon its adoption. Obviously, Exhibit A is attached to the ordinance in the packet. That was a reading of Ordinance 2025-16 in its entirety.
Thank you. So in my memo, I just outlined just a few quick highlights. The entire budget book document is obviously attached in Exhibit A. But we've had 6 monthly workshops dating back to March. So from March through August, we've had workshops and discussing various things from our capital improvement plan to our personnel costs to our full departmental budgets, revenues and expenses. We do have a budget deficiency of 11.7 million that we anticipate those budgeted available reserves or available fund balance net position in the respective funds will absorb that. That deficiency is largely due to our capital improvement program. We have total about 13.74 million in capital improvement projects budgeted for fiscal year 26. Within budget personnel costs, we had a workshop in May that outlined the total salaries and wages by department, benefits, and within that, we also have a COLA of 3%, merit of 3%. That was what was proposed to you back in May that we incorporated into the budget. That still remains the same. And then I'll also include my third bullet point, what we went over more in August. If we pulled out the capital outlay expenditures on a citywide basis, budgeted revenues and other inflows do exceed expenditures and other outflows by $675,000. Recommend approval of ordinance 2025-16, and I'll take any questions if you have them.
Do we have any public comment? Commissioners?
I haven't changed since our workshop, so.
I don't have any comment.
The only question I have is the 3% on the raises for the employees. Is that noted in this budget as to whether, because everyone wouldn't get 6%. So have we made that reconciliation yet, or will that be on our next, when we vote at the next budget, will that get adjusted out? When will that happen?
So right now, the budget reflects the 3% and 3%. So my anticipation was we would budget for that, but it would be, they would never exceed that. It would only be lower. So it could be, some employees could be at 3% and 5%, or 2%, 3%, 1%. But we're budgeting for the highest end. Similar to the way we handle our health insurance expenses.
Right.
We don't know what plan they're going to take until, essentially close to the start of the fiscal year. So we budget initially at what the highest is. And so it's more of a conservative budget estimate.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
I move the approval of ordinance 2025-16.
Do we have a second?
Second.
City Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Taglerini?
Yes?
Commissioner Gabaghi?
Yes.
Commissioner McGinn?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Kerr?
Yes.
Mayor Brooks?
Yes,
The motion carried 5-0.
that is the last thing on our agenda. It is 5:56. We are adjourned.